It passed, but not without fault. On the way back, it didn't want to idle again, and which is the fault that we didn't fix. We fixed something else that it didn't want to do, which was charge, and then it also didn't want to start. The starting, I think, is just the starter solenoid because I hit it and then it started. But so idling, back on idling anyway. This is the idle air control valve. Now, the AF1 forums are brilliant. I know if you're a mechanic, some mechanics go forums, and don't like them particularly. That's very much up to them. But for the rest of us, learned beings, forums are the source of information for stuff manufacturers no longer give a shit about, and actually generally stuff that manufacturers don't give a shit about, which is most of their products. So, but the only thing I can find anywhere for bad idle is this, which is the only thing that controls it. So, basically constantly, what's going through this thing's mind is, how do I idle based on everything? Load, throttle position, temperature, all that stuff. This sits in this housing, as so, and sits in the airbox, and there's two pipes going off of that go to the throttle bodies. This lets air from here, which is the plenum chamber, through here and into these two ports. I struggle to show you really, but that goes up and down, and it will let a certain amount of air into those ports. And what happens is, it gets dirty, sticky, and don't work. And the exact wording of people, including some members that are very learned because they made the maps for these, is flood it with throttle body cleaner, contact cleaner, what have you. Which is what I'm doing, including the motor. A little bit of brake cleaning. Oh. I could take out shares in this stuff. Wash. Key on. And off. And again. No idea if that's right. If you own one of these bikes and you're one of the other not many few people that have them, I'd love to know if that's what the rest of them do. In fact, I might be clever and actually put it on the forum. But for now, that's what that does. Vacuum. There is a one-way valve, reed valve, whatever you want to call it. It's a one-way valve which goes in between the line that goes from the clutch cover up through the sort of V of the engine, then up into a sort of T-piece which goes to your throttle body. It has a one-way valve. This one looks a bit different, but the air should be able to go from the clutch up, but not the other way around. The standard one is available for lots of money from Aprilia. Not from, well, I don't know, it might be available from Aprilia, but AP workshops do it and stuff. Or you can fit this, which is an Audi part. It's made in Germany, yeah. Part number 058905-291K. And that's in stock at most dealers for about, I think when I bought it was about 16 quid. But it does the same job. If that goes wrong, so what happens with the Aprilia ones, they've got just a rubber cone in them, the end snaps off as the rubber gets old, and it'll allow air go both ways. That did happen on mine, and I noticed there was less engine braking, and the revs were quite erratic, even more erratic than they usually are. So check your one-way valve. One thing has indeed led to another, and I'm going to check everything. I want to check the vacuum line to the ECU, but that does involve taking off the entire arse of the machine. No. That should just slot it up there, but then some animal has squashed it shut. Right. Hold that for me. Thank you, dear. what we're looking at is a semi-naked Aprilia. That's our diagnostic port. That's our starter solenoid. Don't worry, the meltiness happened before I replaced it. What we want to get out is the ECU, and why are the bolts underneath that? We might as well just take the battery off, mightn't we? Generally the whole thing's designed quite nicely, but the bolt that holds the battery that goes through nicely. Yes, it does. It goes through nicely to the rear wheel. Is not a nice design, is it? Ow! Oh, you pig. Yes, right, there we go. Is that normal? Should they be inflated slightly? Oh dear. Okay, well, no, look, let's just ignore that for now. What's a slightly inflated battery between friends? Have they remelted? No, that's good. That says a result to me. That's fallen off. Let's not lose that. Okay, so how do we undo the ECU? That's a starter solenoid. As you can see, it's not even very bloody old. And it's the upgraded unit. Mind you, there is what looks like a damaged cable though on the trigger. Oh, that's had a bit of heat shrink on it, so we can investigate that. Add that to the list. Add it to the list. Just push that little catch down and then undo that. And handily, I don't know if that's gonna work. But they look perfect. So we're just going to check the pins on there. Then I'm going to trace that vacuum line. And we're going to chase that little vacuum line back. You can hear them taking the piss again, can't you? Yeah, they look perfect. Okay, that's good. That's one less thing on my mind. Go on, that's it. Yeah, watch now when I put it all back together and this falls out, because it was all bent together for a reason. There we go. There we go. She is well and truly undressed. Why did we do that? Well, predominantly to check this here vacuum line, which is actually quite pinched. It was certainly tight in the frame anyway. Okay, so can we get that apart. Yes. Let's pull that through. Cool. Oh yeah. Should be wearing gloves. So what this is a reference line to the ECU. It's quite important, as you can probably imagine. So if this is getting an incorrect reading, it's not good. Now, as far as a smoking gun, this is not, sadly. I was really hoping that would be a hole, but it is not. Equally, it doesn't matter. It's still, that would have been an issue soon. Look at that. I mean, how close is that to going through? That must be very thin there, mustn't it? So that's good. That's one reason. But equally, I might have been pinching it, which is no good. So we're going to fix that. My dear lady wife, amazing as ever, is currently getting a new battery for it. She's driving past Halfords. So, and I'll have to apologise because I used to moan about, or I did moan about UASA being shit because it inflated of its own accord. Well, clearly it did not have. I had a previous one that went wrong, but anyway, we'll gloss over that. There might have been a pinprick in that. Anyway, so I'm going to cut that there. I'm going to find something to join it with. I've got a lathe there. Should we try if I can make a little joiner? Couldn't I? I didn't buy any, annoyingly. Let me complain about the MOT. Now, what happened at the MOT was that it wouldn't start. And I don't think it was the gently inflating battery that was about to explode and kill everyone. I think what it was the fact that I can't find anything because I've got tools everywhere. Was the starter solenoid, which is dead, or might be dead. So we're going to test it, and this might be fairly straightforward for a lot of people, but equally it might be interesting. Now, what a starter solenoid does is you turn your key, and it goes like that. That's good. It should make that noise, and you'll recognise that noise if you've ever had a battery die, because it takes a small current to switch a big current. So this tiny little, it could be a very small 12 volt supply, hardly any current, causes these two to go together, and then you got your 200 cca from the gently exploding battery. What we want to do though is see. Aha! So if I put these together, we want continuity. When that ticks, it should join these two posts together. There you go, you hear that? And it's inconsistent. So that, my friends, is buggered. I wasn't using the gently exploding battery, by the way, to test that. I was using the C-Tech MXS7 over there behind the laptop, which is a brilliant bit of kit that everyone should have. Not only, I'm being attacked! Not only is it a very good charger, which C-Tech are the best, it has a supply function, which is brilliant. Right, so we've got a major upgrade. I've got a chair. And I really think, this could really improve comfort. Oh, bike, yeah. Whoop. Vacuum lines are done. I've just put some clips on. It's very dark, my torch has died, sorry. They're done. We've now got a Japanese starter relay. Got a new battery. So I'm just going to tidy some of this up. Put the new battery in that won't explode and kill us, hopefully. And then we can actually look at syncing the throttle bodies, which is the job I wanted to do before the MOT, when we found it had melted all its electrics and its battery. and a vacuum line, and whatever else we've just done. Oh, can't get the ECU off because the bolts just spin. So we have a Yuasa something or other. It's a YTX14. The terminals are around. Motorcycle batteries are weird because, for whatever reason, you have to install the studs. That's good, isn't it? I think it's because they can go on the front, which you would have thought on this would make it easier, wouldn't you? But it doesn't, because the terminals do that. So that's all a bit weird. So what they give you is this just horrible way of doing it. And you have to lay the little nuts in like that. I don't know why. Why can't you do it in the factory? It's what you're for. Arg! I think you'd describe that as snug, wouldn't you? Oh dear, what are you meant to be connected to? Actually, I might plug in the diagnostic lead now, because I think that's just going to live there forever and a day now. That's fine. We have my charging cable. What? There's no fuse in it anyway. What? What was that for? I wonder if that was for the original USB. Oh, I don't need more confusion. I need less. Balls. I'm going to put this together because it's not very interesting to watch. And then we will get on to something interesting. Yeah, no, that new battery's only 12.4 volts. Let's see if it actually starts. Okay, so everyone, this is the setup we need for balancing of our set of vacuum gauges. And then in there we have one going to our front cylinder throttle body, one going to our rear cylinder throttle body. The random use of Jubilee clips there is because for whatever reason there are multiple pipe sizes. And not only multiple pipe sizes with multiple size ends. So on a few of them I thought it prudent to put some clips on, but the rest aren't going anywhere. So we get it up to temperature, and then you see one idle screw there and one in there. They're actually very easy to get to with a long screwdriver. I did have a play with it yesterday and we made a subtle improvement. But what we're going to do is cold start. We're also connecting Tune ECU. So for Tune ECU I have the app on my phone, and I have my dongle attached there. It's a Carista one because that's what I have. Ignition on, and then connect, and then we'll start. Connected. Now we can go over to here. Oh yeah. Sounds good? You saw the process there? Some vacuum gauges will have, on the back, they might have a little damper screw which stops that fluttering. Equally these works as a shut off as well, but if you open it all the way you get that fluttering reading. If you just damp it back slightly you get a constant, which is good. What the process is with the actual... It's quite simple actually, balancing these. So when it's up to operating temperature, have both of those screws closed. Then one always stays closed. Start it, look at your gauges, and then open one of the two. For whatever reason, there wasn't a lot of difference, but I did it on the rear and it seemed smoother. Then you open that until both those gauges are reading the same. Simple as that. To reset the actual idle control, all you do on Tune ECU is just change the value ever so slightly, up or down, turn it off, wait 10 minutes, start it, go for a ride. It's where the OBD one's better I think than the PC one. Whilst it isn't free, you can do it on the fly. You can leave the Bluetooth connected in the boot there. So it's test drive really. I'm going to assemble all that again. Always make sure you put the caps back in the test ports because you don't want a vacuum leak. Yeah, and we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. Smile! So, you may remember we had fun with the regulator. Can't shut the door. We had fun with a melted regulator, or a dead regulator anyway. And for the MOT, I fit an old one from Yamaha, which worked perfectly. But, well, it's a little bit up and down as you ride. Anyway, would be nice to fit a brand new one. But, what do you do when you don't want to spend £100 on something? Well, you get this. This is a regulator from a well-known company whose name escapes me. Electrosport. Electrosport. Now, as discussed earlier, broadly they all do the same thing, whether they're powered by standard series diodes or Mosfet type diodes, components. They all do the same thing. They change your 30 to 60 volts AC into a DC 12 volt supply of varying current. Everything else it just dumps to ground or gets rid of it anyway. So what we need is a new one. Now if you trawl eBay, we're taking on the fact that these all do basically the same thing. The ones that are for specific companies will just have different plugs. Also, whether they're 3-wire, 2-wire or 1-wire, so ow, I've been stabbed, single, 2 or 3 phase. So as long as you find one that's the right number of phases on a stator, really I can't see what's wrong. I think scooter ones might be different, but anyway. So back to it. If you trawl eBay, you will likely find ones that have been purchased, then kept too long and not used because they weren't used and can't be sent back, and they've gone on eBay cheap. So this one amusingly says VFR 800 on it, but it wasn't for a VFR 800 according to the chap. The unlucky man had done what we've all done, bought something, not got around to do it, and when you have finally got around to do it, realised that the company have supplied the wrong part. Looking at the connectors and looking at the website, he reckoned, and I sort of agreed, that it was BMW GS 800 GS or GS 800 or whatever. That's good, works for us, isn't it? Let's be honest, they're probably all from exactly the same company. That looks exactly the same as the one that was originally the Electrics one. It looks exactly the same as the Fujiwara and Arashima ones, because it probably is. I believe it's a Mosfet style one though, and the difference with the Mosfet ones, they run a lot cooler. So what are we going to do then? I'm going to change the lume on the bike, and not very difficult. Need some cables. We do need some cables. More importantly, you need some connectors. And again, Mr. Moto Abruzzo, thank you very much. I've always struggled to get decent quality connectors. The ones I've got in the multi-packs you might have seen me use before are fine. Just like Chinese copy of Bosch ones, nothing wrong with those. But this being a higher amperage, I wanted to use something better. So these are... I'll put the details in the screen. Should I put them up here? Dunno. These are Delphi metripack 620 or 680s. Anyway, they're rated to 30 amp. Nice and easy to put on. I'll show you in a minute. But that's one finished one. So we will do another. Everything comes in the kits. So we push our seals on, the bits that everyone forgets, and we're just going to slide those back slightly. If you really struggle, then just spray a little with something on there, a bit of silicone or whatever. But they tend to go on okay. I will probably solder these as well. Now we have two halves. These are your two halves. Because this is the power side, it's the pin one, I believe. Something like that anyway. That goes in there like that. I'm just going to cut that down slightly. So with this end you want the square. The other end has a little long pin. Line that up like so. And then I've got crimp ones and I've got these. They're much for muchness really, but and there's three sizes. It's 12 gauge wire. So that's crimped down, and then I'm just going to go over it with that one as well. And that gives us a really good crimp. And then we want to slide the seal back up. So that goes in like that. And then just, you know, squish it with your fingers, or I do just give it a little nip with long nose pliers. And then into the seal one. And there we go. We'll do a little bit of solder on there as well. I think there is a train of thought that says you either solder or crimp, but yeah. So there we go, that's what we're going to do. Rinse and repeat really, and then this slides over the cables and clips on there, and the other side has that one. When you're pushing them in, basically look down the shaft and you'll see there's a little catch. That catch lines up with the back of that connector. Also, the reason these are so good compared to other ones, and yes, I'm getting really excited about connectors, but you try de-pinning a lot of crappy connectors. All you need is a pick, and you slide it into there, and out comes the connector. Just can't get better. Better than those crappy Molex things that happens to be on the TVR. And they're weatherproof. Hello, back together. Those Mosfet things are so much better in that you just get a straight 14 volts all the time, and it doesn't. Hopefully, it'll cook my leg slightly less. Clutch sleeve. The clutch works fine, but come hither. This is the clutch sleeve. So what that does is basically, this new chair's good. I can relax. what it does, whether it's cable or hydraulic, is it just takes the movement of your hand down to there and it pushes the clutch plates in and out. Quick tip for anyone, because I don't know whether I've talked about this before, and we'll do a little video before we go on tour, is try and use the tools you have on your bike, because then you know if you ever have to take off something when you're out and about. Ooh, smells oily. You know for a fact you've got all the right bits. Clutch slave, clutch slave. You can see, I don't know if you can, in there, that I would say is just starting to leak internally. So we'll pop this off, cap that, get that swapped. So that's your slave. That's your kind of, it's a clever little design actually. That's basically a banjo bolt with a bleed nipple on top, and then there's 2 copper washers that should be changed, or you can re-anneal them. We'll see if we've got the right ones in stock. And there we go. So, ooh, she's a squirter. You can see it works. And you can also see that even though I change that every year, how mucky that gets. Don't laugh. No laughing. What's so funny about Geyser? I think got defeated by the child lock there. What I might do. Can we? There we go. That's your piston. The only reason you ever really need to replace these is damage. So this is a standard rule of thumb with anything really. Something you can feel with your fingernail. But it may make more sense when it's all cleaned up. So what I'm going to do is leave those soaking in this Chinese box. And then I'm going to go eat the leftovers of the Chinese that were in it. Don't mind the outboard motor. That is actually nothing to do with me. There we go. We can see a little bit of marking there, which this is a calibrated fingernail, of course. I don't think... Yeah. I don't think it's an actual wear hole, gash. No, not gash. I can even say that on YouTube. I think it's an actual wear groove. So I would say that's passable. Happy with that. I would say that glove is useless. So the next bit that needs to be alright is the piston. So, there's 2 seals. We have push rod seal, which is this one, which might need... Oh, it's very dirty. That's the push rod seal. And on the other side we've got the actual sort of wiper style, which I'm just going to get the pick around and then just work it out. There we go. Hoping the replacements are the right size by this point. You might not be able to see it, but they're just sort of minuscule scarring along the edges, which isn't exactly the end of the world. Then we just want to get this little front one out as well. Anyway, as I was saying, the main bit we're interested in are the edges of the piston. So And just get a little bit of Scotch Brite again. And then oil it, and then just lightly work around the edge. Is it a particularly boring bank holiday, everyone? Just watching me clean a piston. Thank you for watching, though, if you are watching me clean a piston. There we go, so that face of the piston looks really good. So we can reassemble. For anyone that wants to know, the markings on the front of the seals are 20-28-4 and 8-16-7. I got these from Make Wood Good Limited in Sevenoaks. I don't think they're made of wood. I hope they're not made of wood. When you're assembling this stuff, is one, put it back in the way it came out. That's a good start, as long as the last person had it assembled right. And then just use .4 as lubricant. It's a mineral based oil, it's fine. So that one just pushes in, and then we should probably fit the new one, not the old one. So dip that in there, and then that, we're going to start it and then just push it over the edge like that. There we go. I'll tell you what, it's a lot tighter than the old one. Before we do that though, we're just going to clean out our passages again. My eyes! It's alright. I think I'll survive. Wear goggles. Or look at it through a GoPro camera. Or just get someone else to do it. It's a much better idea. It's quite a tight, well, it's quite a tight fit, but it's very supple rubber, so to be honest, just hold a bit of pressure on it, then it does work. If you just run your fingernail around, it pops in. Good test, see if it seals. Put your finger over that. You've got a set of bellows. So there we go. That weird extension housing then goes over the front, like that. We push it back on, change these little thingies, and then we'll bleed it. Tedious, boring, messy crap. But I have here my bag o' bleeding. It's just some things that I find useful for it. So we got, firstly, Gunson Easy Bleed. Doesn't really work on bikes, but does work on other stuff. They don't last forever, you will get through some, but they're very, very good for cars. Really quick and easy, just do not put too much air pressure on them. 15-20 psi max. They work by, that goes onto your brake reservoir, fill that with fluid, that goes onto your tyre, or any source of 20 psi really, and then the air pressure pushes the brake fluid through that into your master cylinder. You never run out, and you just go around and open all the bleed nipples. Doesn't work on bikes, but anyway. Next, and syringe. If you're struggling with bleeding your brakes, do it backwards. So attach that to your bleed nipple and push the fluid from here back up to the top. We then have some various pieces of hose. I've got this, which is an old tyre gun, which doesn't work. That is for attaching to calipers, standing well back, and then putting 150 psi in them to blow stuck pistons out. What else? Final one. These. I think they're from Laser. And they push onto that, and then they push over your bleed nipple. They make the whole process easier and cleaner and everything. Finally, for bikes, team your Laser thingamajig with that. Everyone's JNS Cell 1, anyone, it's just it's a non-return valve that's rated to take brake fluid, and you can see That's been in there for a little while and it still works. But it basically means you can attach that to your bleed nipple like that. Plonk that in there. And then just get on with it. I hate this setup on any bike. There is just... If there's a neat way of doing it, someone please tell me. We can take out our absolutely tiny screws, which if you look at them wrongly they round off. And we put those there. Take out that. Take out that. We then drop it all over the tank to strip the paint off. Or not. And the first thing I'll do is just try and... If you're just changing your fluid, don't do this. With the one-way valve, as long as you never run this dry, you don't have much work to do really. Just keep pressing the button. Keep pressing the lever until well, you see nice clear fluid coming out the other end. Because even with good seals and stuff, you'll always get a bit of like blackness. Bit I hate more than anything about doing this. It's all quite easy. Every time you press the lever, bloody brake fluid goes everywhere. Right, you know, a better shot down there probably. You know what was a really bad example? That one where valves fail. You get the premise. No. Oh no. What a prat. Pull it a few times, hold it. And then just release. And then just do that until no air bubbles come out. There we go. Right. So that was bleeding your brakes. That's a very bad example of a good way of bleeding your brakes. Get a non-return valve thing that works. And then that works really well and much quicker. Not that it's particularly hard on a bike anyway, but yeah. So that's the clutch done. It's just a test ride after this really, so I still haven't got a mic, but maybe we'll chuck a bit of riding about footage at the end anyway. That's it. Got a little road trip coming up, so we're going to do, I'll do a little pre-packing video thing probably, maybe what tools to take and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, unlike, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Engage, call to arms, hands, I don't know. Bye.